Welcome, everybody, to our Scale with Stability Speaker Spotlight. Today, I'll be interviewing Courtney Epps. How are you doing, Courtney?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, thank you. You're an international speaker, author, and accountant with over 25 years of experience helping entrepreneurs turn tax strategy into a tool for building real, lasting wealth, which I'm really curious about, and especially because we're going to be hosting a session at Searcy, Arkansas. Courtney, you've probably seen this more than anybody. Most business owners are working really hard, growing the revenue, and still they feel like they don't have anything to show for it. The money is pretty much coming in and out. It doesn't really stay. And every year, a big chunk disappears to taxes without a clear plan for what is actually doing for their future. And that's obviously a problem that we want to make sure that we solve at Scale with Stability. We're wanting to focus on helping business owners grow the right way, not just bigger, but stronger, building businesses that support faith, family, health, and our peace of mind, not just businesses that are actually draining it. And I feel like today's conversation is going to be a challenge, in the way that we think about, all of that. So your session during Scale, which is happening in less than 10 days, is crazy that we're down to the last days before the event. Your session is called Create More, Keep More, Multiply More, the Tax Rebel Approach to Wealth. Let's start there, Courtney, and actually give me a little bit of background. 25 years helping businesses today. How has this journey been for you? Tell us more about what you have done in the past. You're author of 2 books. Tell us more about that.
So, for me, it was not about being I hate taxes. Okay, let's start there. And I am a true tax rebel. And the reason why is because the only time I've ever owed the IRS money in my lifetime was when I had an insurance agency and an accounting firm, and I got behind on some payroll taxes. And I did everything that I was supposed to, everything I thought I was supposed to do, pick up the phone, call the IRS and say, hey, I want to make a payment plan. And at that point, it was about $15,000 that I really actually owed in payroll taxes, but it had accumulated to $47,000. And so I was going through some cash flow crunches. I know 93% of all business owners fail because of cash flow, right? And so I sold my business, and the guy I sold it to, I ended up, I was getting a lump sum from him, and I was getting paid every month. So I called the IRS. Look, I want to pay this payment. I'm going to give you $2,000 a month on it. And they're like, oh, wait, you need to go to a revenue officer and you need to fill out all this paperwork. And so I did. And then by the time 6 months turns around, the guy had stopped paying me. I was in a place where I could not financially, I couldn't get another job in accounting or insurance. The new owner threatened to sue every single time I would get another job with a company. He wouldn't threaten to sue me. He would threaten to sue the owners. And so I was unemployable, and I was about $8,000 a month in debt. And
Wow.
so they came back and said, now you're uncollectible. Well, when I finally was collectible about 6 months later, and they shared with me, look, if you can come up with a 15 grand, we'll wipe out the penalties and interest of $34,000, I think roughly is what it was. And so that's what I was committed to doing. And so when I went to go get the final payout for the lawsuit that we dealt with this owner, it was $100,000. It was supposed to be $900,000 is what we're supposed to make off of it. The IRS was there to levy $47,000 for me that day. And I begged and I pleaded, and I, told him, like, look, I called you guys. Like, I was the one that was proactive, and I wanted to do what's right, but I don't think it's right for me to pay $34,000 in penalties and interest on money I did not clearly have. And she said, well, you're collectible now. And if you open your mouth one more time, you're going to federal prison for assault on a federal official.
Wow.
So that was my first dealing with the IRS. Obviously I've been an accountant forever at that point, but I did everything that I was supposed to do, right? Everything that we're told to do. And so now I teach clients, don't call the IRS, you call us, right? Let us deal with the issues. So I could have done a penalty abatement, and I could have wiped that out before I paid the $15,000, right? And that would have saved me a ton of money and a ton of heartache. So, for me, this is not this game that we're in, because I feel like money is a game, and taxes are definitely a big part of that game. 54% of every dollar that we make in our lifetime goes to pay taxes. and 17.25% goes to pay interest. So at the end of the day, we're left over with 28.5%, right? And we're supposed to live off of that. So it's very important, because taxes are our number one expense, to do everything we can legally, morally, and ethically to keep every single dollar that we possibly can. So that's really my focus. I'm first an entrepreneur at heart. I've tried to do everything but accounting for a really long time. And about June 30th of 2017, I showed up to a Tony Robbins event, and I'm like, you know what? I'm really good at this. And if I just focus on actually freeing up money for people, then that would give me the passion that I needed in accounting, because it was always about money. And, money does not really drive me, but we all have to have money. I enjoy having money as opposed to not having money. I'm sure, we're all get in business to make money. Yeah, exactly. So we all get in business to make money, but most of us are taught to give it all away so that we're not paying taxes. So I'm just very different than most accountants. And we're first and foremost focused on how do we free up money, even going backwards and getting money for people and amending returns? How do we focus on it right now and keeping all the money you can for like 2025, and then also moving forward? So, that's kind of how it got started.
A little bit on the background. Yeah, I love that. Wow. That's an impressive story, especially like you being an accountant, having to go through that experience. I think it's probably even worse, sometimes than, like somebody that doesn't know much about accounting. And this is a season we're in right now, right? Trying to make sure that we're getting as much possible back and playing the game that you're saying. What do you think, Courtney, is the biggest mindset shift that business owners need to make as they're seeing this as the game that you're playing, like especially you working with a lot of business owners in your experience? What is the biggest thing that they have to like be aware of or change their mindset on as they're wanting to obviously make the most out of the income that they're getting?
So last week, I was actually at the Masters at a mastermind, which really, really cool, because we talked about the Augusta rule. And if you don't know the Augusta rule, you need to look it up. It's very beneficial, being able to write off your house 14 days a year. You don't have to pay tax on it. And it was created in Augusta. So I was super excited about going. And I did a presentation and taught, a whole bunch of business owners there at this mastermind. And one of the things that they really brought up is like, we are so focused on making more money. We're not focused on keeping that money. And so they're like, your presentation was so beneficial. So I think that's really the thing here, is like, it's not about how much money you make. It's about how much money you keep, right? And at the end of the day, if we could free up money with taxes, and it should be a like daily conversation or daily thinking of how am I going to save this money that I made this year? How am I going to keep every bit of it? And that's where I'm at. Like at the end of the day, for me, it's not about paying what's due. It's literally never paying taxes again. And so, and you can do that legally, morally, and ethically if you start putting that money into passive investments that are also tax deductible. And so that's really my focus now, is like, I want to take all of my money. I want to turn that into passive investments so I can now write them off. And then from those passive investments, I generate passive income, and then I use that money to live off of. And so, that's essentially that's the way the billionaires do it, right? They're not spending active income on buying their next plane or their next Rolex. They're spending it on passive investments that wipe out their tax liability, and they use that savings from taxes to become financially free. And we as business owners, we don't focus on that. Like we're constantly it's like this vicious cycle that we're in, we tell people like, oh, we're better than W-2 employees because, they're in the rat race and they're not, they don't get to buy a lot of the things that they want and they need. And we get to do that as business owners, which is great. But at the end of the day, we all want financial freedom, right? It's not all the cool stuff that we have, right? That we're able to write off. It's how do we create financial freedom and be able to walk away from our business eventually if we wanted to, having that ability, right? So now I'm in a place where I don't have to work anymore. Like I could stop tomorrow, and that actually makes me want to work harder, which is kind of crazy when you think that way. But now my passive income has created half of my regular active income. And it's a whole lot more fun. It's a whole lot more fun to be able to have passive income. And so, but we're not taught that stuff, right? We're taught just keep working over and over and over, make more money every single year, spend more money, and then you're at the same place every single year where you have nothing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, as you're working with this business owners, I feel like there's a difference between earning money and obviously creating this generational wealth, which is a lot of us, we're really focused on not only building, amazing, long-lasting, stable businesses, but also maybe even something that can like benefit, the next generations. Like, what is the big difference that you're seeing in the structures that you're creating for the business owners out there that really have that focus in mind and just making money for today and for the season?
So I think one of the biggest things for me is like there's always a foundation of like an infinite banking policy. So, I have that foundation and then I put money into that and allow that to continue to grow. So I don't have to even worry about like when I die, the trust and things that we've set up, my kids are covered. Like my grandkids are covered. Like we built a family bank, right? And we have a family constitution that we're working on how all of that money is going to be spent. And that was one of the most eye-opening experiences for me. Somebody shared with me, is like, look, you don't have to create the legacy. The legacy is already built. You have enough money to pay towards a life insurance policy to have a $20 million life insurance policy on yourself and your husband. That's plenty, right? And then you can live with the rest of the money that you have. And so that was such a huge eye opener for me. So I'm just teaching. Everything that I teach is the things that I've learned, right? So I've spent $500,000 on my personal growth and development and continuing education in the last 9 years. None of that came from a continuing education class in tax in the CPA or the EA world, right? Government employees don't teach you how to save money in taxes, period. That just does not exist in the world. So you've got to go looking for alternative investments and vet these different things that you can get involved in that are going to create that passive income. So, and also create the legacy that we want to build. So there's a whole lot to it, right? It's not just taxes. And that's why I built our third company is called OTB Wealth, which is a high level strategy, but it's more along the lines of everything from financial to tax to estate planning to asset protection and legacy building, because that's what people truly want, right? Free up money in taxes. And now what do we do with that so that we can not only create ourselves financially so that we're set up, but also leave a legacy for our family?
Absolutely. Now, in the topic of taxes, which I'm just bringing it up because it's like top of mind, right now, and obviously part of the conversation that we're going to have during Scale with Stability. What is the biggest mistake that you have seen entrepreneurs make when it comes to taxes before they started working with you?
Yep. So the biggest thing is missing expenses. It could be themselves or their bookkeepers. Like they have no idea what expenses that they're entitled to take, and they're not doing their bookkeeping. So they're not tracking every single expense. So when I look at something, I'm like, if you attempted to earn income today or in the future on that, it's a tax deduction and you should be writing it off, right? It just depends on where you put it. Like that's one thing, but you should be claiming expenses that you're entitled to take. The other big thing is the structure. So most of the time people have an LLC or they have just a sole proprietorship or a partnership, and they are not treating themselves as an S Corp, and they should. So that's a huge deal, is that having an LLC treat as an S Corp once your income gets to a certain level. I see that all the time. I mean, we've gone back and saved people $110,000 a year that they've overpaid over 3 years, right? 110,000 times 3, so $330,000. And the third piece, and we do this in our tax strategy session, the missing expenses, the structure, and then the third piece is just paying themselves way too much in a paycheck, and that's causing them to overpay in payroll taxes and missing out on the QBI deduction.
Well, I'm excited about your session. I feel like you're going to come like ready to like pour all this years of experience. And I love the fact that you're investing in yourself, like similar to like we're in the same type. I mean, that's why we're hosting events, right? Because we know
Yes.
that just what we learn in school and even through our experience is not enough. There's so much that we don't know. And as business owners, we have to have this mindset of continuing to be students, because otherwise, like, we're always learning. And there are many people that are way ahead of us that are happy to share, their experience if you put yourself in the right rooms. And that's what we're all about, right? Now, talking about your session specifically, Courtney, tell me, who is this session best for? Like, who is the ideal individual, business owner, or role specifically that should be attending this session as they're looking into, for anybody that's watching this and looking into getting this breakout session as part of their agenda?
So it's for anybody who likes to keep their money, right? I mean, that's exactly, we're going to teach, whether it's, you just started in business so that you can offset your income against other income or offset your expenses against other income that you have, or whether you are a $50 million a year company. So we work with all of those types from 0 to 50 million. And so if you're tired of overpaying in taxes and giving away money that you should not be giving away, and you should be using that for your legacy and for yourself, and to grow your own, retirement, and be able to eventually walk away, right? I think the idea is eventually we scale and either sell or scale and give that to our family. So there's that whole legacy piece, and you can't get there unless you're freeing up as much money as possible.
Amazing. Now, as you are preparing, that session, and you're envisioning what's going to happen, what is the one thing that you would love to see people walk away with and see maybe like even a transformation as they get out of your session that day?
So that they're at least keep $10,000 more this year in taxes. Like, if you're paying money in taxes, my goal is for you to keep at least 10 grand of that this year or more.
I love it. Well, I'm excited to see you very soon, less than 10 days away. We're going to all be, well, most people, we're already here, but most people are going to be traveling here to Searcy, Arkansas. We're starting April 22nd to the 24th, and we cannot wait. We're going to have so many amazing speakers on the keynote sessions that we're going to have, breakout sessions. I'm honestly like so torn, because I've been doing the spotlight sessions for like weeks now, and every session is going to be so impactful. Thank you, Courtney, for bringing all this knowledge and all this experience and pouring this into faith-driven business owners. I know that the impact after this is going to be amazing, and I cannot wait to see everybody come and join us. And if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, make sure to go to scalewithstability.com/summit. We would love to see you there. Appreciate you, Courtney, again. Thank you.